Hi, everybody. We're here with another episode of the Piercing Wizard podcast. I'm Ryan Willett. I pierce at Precision Body Arts in Nashua, New Hampshire. And with me again is my buddy Will Von Doome. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Will.
Hey, everybody. My name is Will Von Doome. I'm a member of the Association of Professional Piercers, and I pierce out of currently Dorje Adornments in Rochester, New York.
Cool. So, Will wanted to talk about wait times with body jewelry in the industry and how frustrating it can be for both clients and studios. One issue, if you're not a body piercer listening to this, we don't make the jewelry that we sell. So we have to place an order, we have to wait for it to be manufactured, and then it has to be shipped out. This isn't a kind of a product where there's a massive warehouse somewhere like a Amazon type business where they just have everything ready to go on a shelf. They pull it and throw it in a bag and mail it out. The jewelry that's used in higher end studios, jewelry that meets APP spec, a lot of it has to be made when you order it, and a lot of times when you order, you get kind of put into a queue, so they might not even be able to start making your jewelry for a few weeks. On the client side, that can get really frustrating, especially when you're waiting for something that you're excited for, if you need jewelry for maybe a stretch, or especially if you need jewelry for an irritated piercing. It can be really tough to sometimes wait 2 or 6 or 12 weeks. As a body piercer, we're trying to do everything we can to accommodate our clients, but it can be frustrating for us as well. So do you find that you have to deal with that kind of frustration, Will?
I do quite a bit, and one of the things that I don't think a lot of people realize is one of the most common complaints I hear is, well, why didn't you order more then? When you ordered this so far ago. And one of the things is we're placing orders about 12 to 16 weeks ahead of when the order actually comes in. So let's think about this. That's like you buying Christmas gifts in the middle of August for your friends that you haven't talked to in a little while, because you don't know what you need or you can't predict the market. So we try to accommodate for everything. We try to have a worst case scenario set up for extra jewelry and things like that. But it's just as frustrating for us as it is for clients.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes it might even be more frustrating because we don't have to deal with that one piece of jewelry that's taking a few months to come in. We have to deal with all of our jewelry, and sometimes that means, oh man, I can't do a certain piercing for 2 more weeks until this jewelry comes in, unless I can track down something from a friend in another shop. It can be really difficult logistically. I remember, when I started piercing, I definitely wasn't using the same quality jewelry that I'm using now. And, years go by and you start getting, a new account with this company and a new account with this company. You try out a few things and then it starts to snowball. I remember, I would order, from certain jewelers, I would get maybe like 10 pieces of jewelry. And that would sort me out for a couple of weeks. And then, if I ran low on something, I could make another order and maybe I'd have something the following week or, maybe within 2 weeks. But now it's really difficult because I have to kind of leapfrog my orders. So, I'll try to make an order once a month with my main vendors for just my basics. But the problem is if I make an order in November, I'm probably not going to see that order until February or maybe even March, depending on how backed up they are. But I'm still going to be piercing people through November and December and January and February, and I still need to have jewelry in stock for that. So it's this constant struggle of trying to manage the inventory that I have, trying to predict the future about what I'm going to need for a totally different season, or what if a new fashion trend comes up, or what if a new piercing explodes on the internet? How am I supposed to keep track of that? And it can be really difficult to offer a consistent product for your clients when one month you have every piece of jewelry in the world, and then the next month you're down to scraps. It can be really frustrating.
Yeah, it's really quite difficult. And one of the things that I try to express to my clientele is the fact that the jewelry you're getting is made from a single, let's say you're getting a piece of titanium. It's usually made from a single solid piece of titanium that's crafted just by one machine, and then it's hand polished and hand set with stones and everything like that and checked for quality. Good things happen to those that wait, and even though it's very frustrating, I mean, heck, I'm waiting for a board game to show up from Amazon, and I only ordered it 4 days ago, and I'm like dying for it to show up. But I understand that the world likes things as soon as possible, but these are things that, trust me, you as a client are going to want to wait for the quality to show up as opposed to just trying to get a filler piece in the meantime. I think it's really important to realize that, especially with the higher end jewelry and things like that, those pieces last a lifetime. And I know that it's frustrating to wait a few weeks, but a few weeks is a drop in a pond to 20, 30, 40 years down the road while you're still wearing that same piece of jewelry.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think people get frustrated because they know they can walk into a mall any day of the week and they can buy something that'll fit in their piercing.
Absolutely.
But, sometimes it takes a few days or a few weeks for them to realize that maybe that wasn't the smartest purchase because maybe now their piercing is getting itchy or getting irritated or the jewelry maybe started falling apart. And they say, well, why am I going to spend $100 on this piece of jewelry that looks shiny and nice when they have a piece of jewelry that looks decent in a mall and it's $15, but then they come back after a few weeks and it started to discolor or the gems fell out, things like that. And, that's when we have to say, like, yeah, I understand that there's a big drawback sometimes with custom orders especially, or maybe if there are supply side issues with a shop, but yeah, you do only have to buy that nice piece of jewelry once. You don't have to come in and get a new nose bone every 2 weeks because the stone fell out or because it starts to discolor. If you get something good, it's going to last you a long, long time. I would say to shops, if you get kind of backed into that corner where you're constantly having to order something, then yeah, try to step up what you do for orders and, try to have a little bit more stock, in shop for people. But even when you do that, your orders grow and grow and grow, and then your average everyday order, if you look back at it a few years in the past, that might have seemed an insane amount of jewelry that you were getting in. I mean, to me, the jewelry that I've been ordering for the last year or two is, 10 times what I was trying to stock, maybe 5 years ago, and it's difficult to keep up with it. And I have no idea where it's going to go from here. I don't know what the supply side is going to be like. This isn't even the busy season, So in summertime, it's even more frustrating and difficult to keep up with it.
Right, and as piercers, right now we're stocking for at this point in time, we're stocking for spring and summer. So we're trying to guess what those trends are going to be and like what colors are going to be like really nice this season. Like let's say lime green opal is really popular. Like we may be like hurting for that gem color because we may not have thought that color was going to be very big. But like going back to what you stated, my first order for jewelry was maybe, let's say, 20 pieces when I first opened my shop. And by the time that the last order that I had placed, I think I had probably over like 500-600 pieces. And you look back at it and you're like, whoa, I'm never going to go through all this. And then within 2 weeks, you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Because I don't have that jewelry.
Yeah, I know that there are a lot of different vendors where, lots of different stuff has mix and match. So maybe you're getting all your posts from one vendor and then you're getting different end pieces from 3 or 4 different companies. But you got to realize, like, if you run out of that post, that's game over. Like if you don't have the jewelry to put in people, it doesn't matter what kind of like fancy end piece options you have. Like, if you need a barbell to go behind it or you need a libret post to go behind it, you better have it in stock when you need it, and it's really tough because, every time I order, I think, all right, I'm going to beef it up just a little bit because I know wait times are long. I'm going to put a little bit of stuff in reserve. And then I still find myself, even with that kind of system, like, oh, man, I'm completely out of this thing. Or, there's another 6.5 weeks until my order comes in and I'm dead out of this jewelry. Like, what am I going to do? So it can be tough from the piercer side of it. So no matter how much you try to beef something up or try to predict it, or, even if you have an awesome inventory system and it's giving you like alerts for par levels and all these different things, you don't know what the trend is going to be for the actual industry. You might go into it thinking, I'm going to need, 5 dozen of this one specific color and size because that's been my most popular thing for the last few months. And then a week later, that fad is over. So you're left with 50 of these things that you don't need, and then you're completely out of the new hot color, on the internet. And what are you going to do? Like you're just you're out of luck for a few weeks or a few months.
Yeah, it's really quite a scary scenario. One of the things too, building on the last time that we talked, clients will respect you more if you tell them that. Let's say you have a really bad scenario and you run out of jewelry. Telling that client, be like, oh, I can't do that piercing because I don't have, X jewelry. It's going to make them probably appreciate you a little bit more, even though they'll be a little frustrated, because the fact is you're not going to be using ill-fitting jewelry that could possibly irritate a piercing or make things work. So going back to what we said prior, one of the important things is good things happen to those that wait. So you can just wait a little while, wait for that jewelry to come in. I'm sure your piercer is definitely going to call you as soon as they come in, and then just have you come in to get that jewelry and get a happy, healthy piercing with it.
Yeah, that's what I have to do with my clients. I actually have a wait list for certain kinds of jewelry. Gold vendors can also be pretty challenging to work with sometimes. Some are faster than others. Others have this, certain amazing quality, things that you can't get from anyone else, but, you have to have some patience to deal with it. So a lot of times when people come in for a piercing, a really good example would be like, well, do you say date or do you say da?
I say whatever the client says to me first.
Okay, so that's a good one. So let's say a client does come in for that, and maybe they asked for some jewelry that's really popular on the internet that week. Hey, do you have hearts? Hey, do you have moons? Hey, do you have gem clusters? And I'll be like, well, I'm sold out of that because it's extremely popular. That's why you see a lot of it online because we're doing them and every other shop is doing them all the time. But I just don't have jewelry in stock for that right now. So, hey, I would love to pierce you with maybe this alternate style that's also like, pretty interesting and pretty cool. And I'd be happy to order you that piece of jewelry, or I'd be happy to put you down on the waiting list. And as soon as it comes in, I'd be happy to install this jewelry in a piercing that's going to be a little bit more healed for you because, we're getting that today with an alternate style. It's really all about communication. Like your client's going to be a lot happier if you say, look, I would love to do that piercing, but I need this specific size of jewelry that I don't have in stock. So really the option is we wait a little while, or you get pierced with maybe not the right size. Something a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller can really adversely affect healing time. So, I would feel more comfortable if we waited, and this is an ETA on it, but, I'll take down your name or your number or your email, and you'll be the first person I contact as soon as the jewelry comes in. Or you can even offer discounts to people to make sure that they do come back at a later time. But, at the same time, if you pierce them with incorrectly fitting jewelry and, maybe they don't have a great healing experience, that's going to look bad for you.
Right, and they may not come back due to that. So
yeah.
Sometimes waiting, like I said, is a little bit better. And you may tell them, like, hey, we can put you on the waiting list, we can take an order, and they may tell you, no, that's okay, I'll just go somewhere else. Usually, more often than not, you don't have many shops in the same area that carry the same jewelry. So if you're carrying a lot of those higher-end ones, the odds of another client going to a different shop, they may not be able to get it at all. So that person is still going to forever want that piece. So luckily enough, a lot of the trends have the same type of jewelry. So by having that jewelry, maybe the next time she comes in with a friend or he comes in with a friend, you have that jewelry, they fall in love there, and then they still wind up getting it.
Yeah, another thing that I learned kind of the hard way that can make it a little bit easier for clients is don't guarantee a delivery date, because the companies aren't going to guarantee it for us. When we order body jewelry, they're not saying, all right, we're going to ship this out exactly on March 1st. They give you a window. Sometimes they'll say, okay, it's going to be anywhere between 2 weeks and 12 weeks, or 8 weeks and 11 weeks, or something like that. So you need to kind of give your clients the same kind of window to say, like, hey, I'd like to order this jewelry. Last time I ordered something similar, it took about 3 months, but the company window is, anywhere between 2 and 4. So we would just ask for some patience, and we'll contact you the day it arrives.
Right, and a big thing about that too, when placing those orders, I tell clients all the time, I'm like, it could, like you said, be anywhere from 2 to 12 or even more weeks than that. I tell them if they want to, you're always welcome to call me. You can stop by and visit me, and you can check in on the order, and I can let you know where we stand. Be like, oh, I haven't heard from this distributor. I can call them and see where we stand, things like that. most piercers are not going to be upset because you want to check in on something that you're waiting to get. Because
yeah, it's really just all about communication is, I think, the really big point.
I think that as well.
So that's going to wrap it up for this one. My website is precisionbodyarts.com, and we were talking to Will Von Doome today.
Thanks so much, everybody.